What I'm going to introduce you today is how to do a simple tween. Now, here's some text that I previously produced. The colour's a bit wrong, but it's a simple tween that flies in and flies out. Now, there's a few things happening in the timeline here if you're following the mouse that you can see, but we're going to start off much simpler than that. So I want you to create a new action script 3. There's a range of different choices. We'll just go with an action script 3. The background color will leave us white for the moment, and we'll go OK. We'll work within one layer. The first thing I'm going to do is put the text in and then change it to a graphic, because once it's a graphic you can tween it, change its shape and add those tweens. If I click on the text tool over here on the right and just click into somewhere on my canvas, I've got some text there. Under here, under properties, you can see a range of choices for the text. I might change my color to a green color. In fact, woodley green is, if I click in here, I can change any color. I can choose any color I want. Woodley green is something like 54545, but you can choose any color you want, really. And you can choose a range of fonts, font sizes, the spacing of the letters, there's paragraph options and so forth. And in here you can choose to make the actual font a linear gradient, if you choose something like that, but we won't go there for the moment. Seems to be playing up a little bit, so I'm going to just type into this area. I'm going to type in Woodley School. You can type in anything you like, really, it's up to you. And go and click on my selecting tool, or hit V and click on my Woodley School. Now, that is not an object at the moment, that is just some text. To turn it into an object, I'm going to hit the F8 key and I'm going to just type in Woodley, something like that. It's a graphic. I can choose graphics or movie clips. I'll leave it as a graphic for the moment and go OK. And now I have it as a graphic in my library, which means I can use it multiple times in any particular thing that I want to do. I'm just going to get rid of those. So now what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to start off with my Woodley School off the screen, somewhere out here, and I wanted to fly in, and I'll click onto frame 30, hit F6, and I can either drag my Woodley School in, or I can hold the shift button down and use my arrows to zoom it in quite quickly. I'll center it and do a right click on this screen here, and I'll create a classic tween. I can create a motion tween which has eases and things like that, but for the moment we'll just create a classic tween. Well, let's see what we've done now. If I go Control Enter, that's all. It's not sitting there. Let's do that. Let's make it sit there. I'll go to frame 60, hit F6, and I'm not going to move it. I'm going to leave it in the same spot in frame 60. Let's see what that plays like. Yep, it stays, and then it starts again. I'm going to introduce some easing and things like that, but before I do, I'll go to File, I'll save my text, and I'll call it Save As, and I'll go Flying Woodley or something like that. Could be a TV show, really. Throw a dow in there. Save. The next thing I'm going to do is go to, say, frame 80, hit F6, and this time I'm going to place the Woodley off the screen, so I'll hold my shift down, use my arrow keys and place it off there. So it starts off here and ends there. Now without a tween, this is what happens. It effectively looks like it just disappears. What the tween does, it says move from this point to this point by adding a range of frames more smoothly. I'll do a right hand, I'll insert my classic tween again, and let's see what we've got now. Woodley School, Woodley School. Lovely. Now, and that's it. You've created a tween. You've just created a very simple tween. It works well. If I just click on here, you can drag it in, you can follow my red arrow, goes along, and then it goes off. I'm going to introduce some things called easing. I want to actually come in a bit slower and then speed up and grind to a quick halt. And then I'm going to move the text so I get some a bit more motion happening in my text. Now, to do the easing, under properties, there is, if I click on my object and click somewhere in my tween, you'll see this thing here called tweening. Easing, if I make my ease negative, it should, let's just see what that does. It's pretty hard to see that, but it actually speeds up. Yeah, there's a pencil here tool, so I can edit the easing, and I can click here and make it really come down like that. Click here and move that one down there. Make quite a steep curve. Let's see what that does. I'll go OK. Okay, that really shot in. Now, as it comes to a very quick halt, what I want to do is I want to give it some movement, so it has a bit of a springboard effect, a bit of an animation effect. I'm going to go to slide to frame, say 34, hit F6, and then to frame 37, for example. Oh yeah, that'll do. 37, and hit F6 again. And I'm going to, at frame, go back to my middle keyframe, and I'm going to change the shape of the text at this point. I'll go back over here. There's a transform tool which is up the top of your toolbar. When I click on that, I have now put some handles in here. If I go to the edges, I've got turning handles. I can turn it, I can make it, expand it and contract it. I can skew it, which is what I want to do. Now I want to skew it this way so that it looks like it stops. One of the problems though is it moves it in an odd way. I'm going to go down and turn on my onion skins down the bottom, which is this button key here. It's a bit hard to see that. I might just move that up a little bit. You can see the onion skin there. If I turn that on, I can see a range of, this has got these shapes here, so I can see what's happening. I'll go back to this. Now what I want to do is click on to my shape and move it across so that the bottom of the W's lines up. In other words, that the text has come in, it's almost skidded. I'll go a bit more. So the base is stuck in the one spot and then it's flung back. So to do that now, I'm going to do, so it's gone from that shape to that shape, back to that shape. So I'm going to do a right hand click here. I'm going to create a classic tween, and I'm going to do a right hand click in this little section here between these frames and also create another classic tween. Let's see what that looks like. See if I got it right. Yeah. So you get the effect of stopping. I could probably go to this frame here and just add another frame, another F6, just to delay it just a fraction. Or not, I'm not too sure really there, but anyway. Now I'm going to do the same thing at the other end. What I want to do is, before it flies off the screen, I want it to stretch back a bit. and then fly off. I'll go to, say, frame about 2 or 3 frames before, and I'll hit F6 to create another keyframe, and I'm going to go back a few more frames here, hit F6 and create another keyframe. And this one here in the middle is where I want the transformation to take place. Again, I'll go up. I've got my free transform tool on by default at this stage. I'm going to go back here. I'll click and I'll stretch it out. I'm going to use my arrow tools to slowly place it into position so that the W's are lined up here. You can see the bottom of the W's is lined up with the bottom of the W's. Now I'm ready to go and introduce my tween. I'll create a classic tween there, and I'll create a classic tween there. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, so that's pretty good. It doesn't quite move off fast enough for me though. What I might introduce here is some easing, and I want to really fly off at the start, so I'm just going to grab that easing and I'll make that up to 100. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, not too bad. The other thing I can do is I can add some more frames in. I want to extend the time in the middle, so I'm just going to highlight a few frames in the middle there, hit F5, and it extends my whole timeline by that one. And I'm going to grab in here and I'm going to do a right click and I'm going to remove frames here. Let's see what this looks like now. Okay, we're getting a little bit better. I might even remove some more frames, just highlight a few more, remove those frames, try again. Okay, now getting pretty close. The other thing I can do is go in here and I can go up to my easing panel on my properties, click on my easing and click on this base one and increase this here so that it really goes a steep ease, a steep fly out. Let's just play that. That really flies out quite quickly, so let's just do that one now. The other thing we can also do, if I really wanted to, is put some easing into this frame here. I would like it to slowly go back and then increase out. So I'm going to put a negative ease on that. And here I want it to really spring forward, so I'm going to put a positive ease on that. Let's see if that works. Oh, that's much better. So the same thing I can do here. I'll go over to this one here. I might put another frame in here, hitting F5. That just extends that a little bit. Now here I want it to what do I want it to do? I want it to fly in and quickly come to a stop, so I want it to keep on going quickly and then slow down, so I want to slowly ease into that. So in other words, I want them to be the reverse of these ones. So this one I want it to be a positive ease. I want it to slowly start moving and then spring back. I think we'll have a negative ease here. Let's just test that, see if it looks any good. Let's just not bad. I could probably increase that a little bit more, and you could even edit that. See what that does, and maybe edit that one just to add a little bit of detail to it. Right, so there's some basic principles there of introducing easing text